Welcome to the Trotro Rise Show on Joy Prime. We have taken a step further in getting our social issues heard and seen by the people in charge. The issues to be discussed are the ones that you bring us from your homes, the trotros, and the streets.
All your transportation difficulties and occurrences, as well as environmental and social issues, will be discussed in a quest to find relevant solutions.
You are basically going to function as our correspondents, our eyes and our ears.
Join me, your host, Noella Karanyali and Yao Odum, as we sit down with you at home to discuss our Trotro Diaries every other Saturday at 11 a.m. on Joy Prime.
Okay, so it is another Saturday, and as usual, we're back live on Joy Prime, Trotro Diaries TV show. So it's been a week, a lot has been happening, and for the past couple of weeks, we've seen the rains coming and all that. Today is going to be an interesting show. As we always say, it's also going to be about your voice, but this week we have a very interesting conversation. So for the last couple of weeks, to say a month or something, we have seen the rains coming. Now, every time the rains come, we all know what happens. Our bad roads get exposed, and then we begin to see the hazards that come with public transportation. So this week, we are starting a new conversation, and basically what we are talking about is the rains have come, how prepared are we, how safe are we? Now, whenever the rains come, we see a lot of accidents. Some people will say, oh, some witches, some wizards, and stuff and all that. But the thing is, okay, are there some things that are contributing to this challenge? And so this week, we're going to have a conversation around this. Starting today, I think it will spill off into next week. But we're talking about the bad roads. But then also, you cannot talk about the bad roads without also focusing on the ties. We've all seen our trotros, even the private vehicles. You see a car that has the ties, and it's like, this tie is like Sakura tie or something like that. And so today, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. As usual, we want to hear your voice. We are live on Facebook. You can join via Zoom as well. And then you can share your inputs via WhatsApp. We have interesting conversations. We have somebody that will be joining us. Use Trotro for the first time. We'll be getting to know his experience. And then also touching on the safety part of it. But then we also bring in some experts from the transport space. One is a mechanic. One has been a driver for a while. To have a conversation on how we can stay safe on our roads. My name is Yao Odum. Today, I am doing it alone because my better half is not around. She's doing something special that we'll be telling you guys about next week. But this is the Trotro Diaries TV show on Joy Prime. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Today is going to be packed. There's a lot of exciting conversations that we're going to have. And so this morning, we have one of our community members from Trotro Diaries. He's a very special person. He's been part of the community. And he happens to be visiting Ghana and had his very first Trotro experience. And so today, we're going to start the conversation off with that. We have Mr. Romain Kazel in the studio. Hello, Romain.
Hello, Yao.
How are you doing?
I am very fine, thank you.
Nice. It's good to have you in the studio.
I'm very happy to be here. Been thinking about that for a long time.
I think we have been talking about having you on the show.
Definitely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, Romain is one of our community members. He's based in Europe. I'll let him introduce himself, his country, and all that. But he has been to Ghana a couple of times, has seen the public transportation experience. And so finally, I managed to get him to enter the Trotro. And so I would want him to introduce himself, tell us a bit of his country, and then tell us a bit of how the experience has been so far in Ghana.
Well, okay, so I'm Romain Kazel from Luxembourg in Central Europe, which is one of the very small countries in the world. Nonetheless, I believe you have been there.
Yes.
So you can testify that it's still quite beautiful. Interesting about my country is also that we have free public transport.
Okay.
Something I think a lot of people in Ghana envy us for.
Wait, so if you say free public transport, what do you mean?
Everybody can get on a bus, on a train, on a tram, and not pay anything.
How is that possible? What kind of magic is that?
That's not magic. That's, I believe, our taxes who make that possible. But
Interesting.
Yeah, the roads were becoming a bit too congested. So the government said we have to start doing something about it. And then also the cost, you know, especially with COVID and everything, the fuel prices also increased on our end. And so in order to get that covered a bit, they gave people the opportunity to take the bus or public transport to work or everywhere for free. But it's not only for us, it's for everybody visiting the country. So.
Okay, so we'll come back to that subject again.
Sure.
Free public transportation, that's very interesting, right? But then you had your very first Trotro experience. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, it was, you know, I was always a bit reluctant to do it because I'm quite tall and lack of space made me a bit, reluctant to get on it. But this time I had some of my very close friends from Luxembourg over with me, and so we all decided together with you, let's just do it. And I must say, okay, I was lucky to get the front seat, so maybe that kind of helped a bit, but generally it was a very interesting and nice experience.
Okay.
To be honest, I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a video of them experiencing Trotro for the first time. Let's just check out the video. How's it going? How's it going?
So far, so good.
Okay, so that was Romain and some friends from Luxembourg
Yes.
trying out Trotro for the very first time. So I'm curious. You mentioned that you have free public transportation, which we'll touch on a bit. But in terms of the experience that you had been in the Trotros, having read about Trotros before you came, what was your expectation and how did it turn out once you were in the Trotro?
I think I expected the Trotro to be a little fuller, but I think we also took one which wasn't particularly full, so it depends a bit on where you get to. And I think one thing I am always amazed is how people manage to actually get around, because as a foreigner coming to Ghana, you have no idea where they are going.
Okay.
And so it's really amazing how it actually works. And yeah, it's very interesting from an abroad point of view.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it's very interesting. So how does it work on your end? Because I can imagine you get to 37, for example, right?
Yeah.
When we got there, it's just the cars, right? A lot of cars. There's like a lot of shouting and all that going on there. Is it the same? How does it work in your country?
No, that's a bit different. Like in our country, the buses, they have very allocated lines. I believe that's a bit similar than the Trotros though. Like they will always go from point A to point B.
Okay.
And then they will have their stops on the way. And most of the stops, especially if you're in the city, then the buses will also be announced. So at your bus stop, you will have like a signboard and say bus number 124 will come in 8 minutes. So you always have a little bit of a live update. When your next bus is coming or when you missed your connection, you will see, okay, now I have to wait for 35 minutes and you can go and grab a cup of coffee or something else for that matter.
Something else like what, club? Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, so that's interesting. So, I mean, earlier on you had mentioned free transportation in your country, which we'll touch on. But then I think we're having some conversations earlier on, and I realized you had picked up some tree.
Just a very little bit.
And having been in Trotros too, like anybody that has been on our roads had seen what happens, you know, when two drivers meet and all
You mean like the driver shouting, "Fya!" or something like that?
So yeah, what are some of the experiences that you've seen or had?
Oh, there's a lot. It's a lot more lively. Our bus drivers, they drive a bus. Your
Okay.
bus drivers, they also entertain. I know they don't want to entertain, but they still do.
Okay.
And the mates hanging halfway out of the car, and it's lively, much livelier than back in Europe.
Nice, nice. So going on back into the conversation. So later on, we're going to go into the conversation about range, safety, and all that. But I think it's also very interesting to know a bit more about free public transportation.
Yeah.
Right. So do you guys have trotros, like something that's similar to trotros?
No,
You guys are missing out too.
yeah, we are missing out big time. That's one thing I'm going to take back home, trotros. So.
So how does it work? Because for us, we have there's a driver who's driving, and then we have the mate that's, taking the fares and all that. Can you give us like a picture of how it works?
Well, we do not have a mate because we do not pay for it. So we just have a driver who's driving.
Okay.
And that's basically it.
So this is so interesting. How does it work? How is it like, how long have you guys had this?
I think it should be two or 3 years now that we have it.
Wow.
So before you could get like relatively cheap also annual subscriptions where you can then use it. And then at a point, like I mentioned earlier on, the government's just decided we have to do something because the roads are getting too congested. And the cost of people, the fuel doubled. The fuel price doubled for a point in time. So people were also complaining like, I'm now using a lot of money to get to work and back, and that's actually where I should be getting my money, not be spending my money. And so that was their solution, and a lot of people are using it now for those where it works.
Okay.
Especially when you're living closer to Luxembourg City, where most of the business activity also is. It's working really well, but if you go to the little more rural areas, it's becoming a little more complicated. Because sometimes you have to wait for 30, 35, 40 minutes for your bus. And I mean, you don't want to wait for 40 minutes for your bus after work. You just want to get home.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we started a conversation. As I mentioned, or we always mention, the show is not just about our voice, it is your voice. Commuters, drivers, anybody related to the transport space, we want to hear your voice. So join us via Zoom. The link and everything is there. Join us via Zoom. If you have any thoughts you want to share as well, the WhatsApp number will be on the screen. So as I mentioned earlier on, we have Kojo. So Kojo is a mechanic that would be joining us on the conversation. So we've already heard a bit about transportation in other states or other countries. What we want to do is now start to bring in the safety part of the conversation. Hello, Kojo.
Sir.
Charlie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Charlie, I'm doing great. But Charlie, you be star.
You have to be grateful to God for that. Yeah.
You be star, because I've been seeing like anytime somebody asks a question to do with transport or some kind of, I need support with this or that, people start tagging. Contact Kojo. But yeah, so today we're having a conversation on range, our roads, safety on the roads. So I think the first question we want to ask is, okay, I mean, what's even special for people that do not drive? They would sit in the trotro or whatever, they just go and come back, right? But from a transport driving perspective, what is so special about range and driving on the roads?
Oh, okay. Good morning once again to your viewers. And when we talk about range and the impact on vehicles, it's a broad subject, okay, very broad, because fixes come into play. You know about friction, right?
Yes.
If you are walking and there is less friction, you slip or you fall.
Okay.
Okay, so when you race, it's the tire that moves on the road. So the first thing, when you race and there's less friction, it means your vehicle can skid. The dangers are a bit high. So if you are driving or sitting in a car and you race, there's slip, like the road becomes slippery. That's the first thing. Something known as hydroplaning. That is where if you are driving and there's a thin layer of water between the wheels and the road of water. So water is powerful. It's able to carry the vehicle a little bit. So you can lose control of the vehicle and then you can skid off the road. So that's one thing when it comes to rain. Yeah.
Okay, so I've learned something new so far. Water reducing the friction. Is this why we're seeing a lot of accidents when it rains?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, because when it rains, the accidents listing is very high. Because according to even data or research, if you drive at 100 kilometers per hour, when it rains, you have to reduce it by half, let's say 50, because by then the brake is less active because of the absence of friction.
Okay.
So when you drive during rainy season or when it's raining, the accidents, the brake become less active. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Okay, so when it's raining, you have to reduce it. I don't think our Ghanaian drivers know this.
Yeah. That's one thing. Ignorance of something is no excuse. So, but the reality is different. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious. Yes, water can reduce it, but what if somebody has good tire? Or I guess the broader question would be, what role does the tires that a car have play in this?
Okay, per principle, like tires hold the same principle as you wearing a shoe with this thread. You see, if you wear shoes that are worn out, okay, you can slip. But if it has this thread, it holds like some points for you, so you can't fall easily. Okay. So that is one thing about tires, yeah.
Okay. So I think to make the conversation broader, and Roman, I'll bring you in shortly.
Sure.
So we've talked about rains, what the rain does in terms of friction and all that. Are there, like, Kojo, any other factors that come into play? Is it just these two, or what else comes into play when we're talking about rains and then these accidents that we keep seeing?
Oh, okay. A lot of, apart from the accidents happening, there are some mechanical damages that can happen when it rains, especially if you drive into puddles. You see with cars, there is a gap between the ground and, let's say, where the engine is. Okay. So if there are levels to this. So let's say if you are driving, let's say, some few centimeters of water, you can drive out safely. But if it goes deeper and it gets to where, let's say, the engine is, where the petrol tank is, and all those components are, water can enter even the water tank. It can enter the engine. It can enter some few components, like this modern cars, let's say some Hondas and other stuff. The power steering motor is on the rack. So if you drive through rain, let's say through these puddles, you risk damaging those parts, especially if those parts have been worked on and water finds its way into them. Okay.
So, Kojo, I'll come back to you shortly. I think, Romain, you wanted to add something to the conversation.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting what Kojo was saying. I think one factor with rain comes also the limited visibility.
Okay.
So the human factor, not only like the mechanical factor, but when it's really heavily pouring, your windscreen, you know it, yes. Then the windscreen, even if you have good wipers, the visibility is still low. And I think that adds really a big danger to, apart from the mechanical dangers, also the human factor is big. So I think reducing speed in every way is the solution.
Okay, so I think Romain has touched on a very interesting part that I wanted to bring up as well, right? So Kojo, we're seeing, in Ghana, 60 to 70% of the population are using trotros. Are we seeing any of these things that you're mentioning being applied there, or are we seeing people slow down? So, on a normal day, people are doing 100. And I've seen, like, the interesting experience I had was a couple of years back, I was driving an electric vehicle, right? And these cars are fast. I would be doing, like, top speed. I could do, like, from 0 to 60 or 70 in, like, 3 seconds. And I'd be on the N1 or something, and trotros are going past. And so obviously, speeding is one of the key issues and all that. Is this a message that they get, like what is happening on our roads, especially when it comes to public transport, the trotro drivers? Is this a message that they get? Do they understand this?
Nah, the thing is, you see, with most of our trotro drivers, they hardly listen. Even if you are in a car and it's raining, you tell them, they hardly listen. But you see, I think that's one thing we should prioritize as a country, and the education becoming very expensive. Because even on the motorway, when it rains, that's where you see trotro drivers driving at top speed. And you realize even when it's raining, trotro normally gets into accidents more than any vehicles because of the speed. Like when it comes to vehicles and rain, it's no respect of person. Large vehicles, hydroplane. Small vehicles, hydroplane. So I think the education should be more. Be more, because it's no respect. It's a lot of places. It's no respect of individual vehicles. So we just have to do more education on that.
Okay, so we're going to come back to the conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, we want to hear your voice. We've had some feedback. We shared the question online. We'll be checking out shortly. But you can also join via Zoom. And we also have the WhatsApp number. What are your thoughts? What have you heard so far? Is there a question that you have for Romain or Kojo as the conversation continues? And you can also join via Zoom. So, Kojo and Romain, I think another part of the conversation which Romain had mentioned earlier on was visibility, right? So then when we talk about visibility and all that, interesting question that comes is, okay, the spare parts that our drivers are getting, right? The windshields, the tires and all that. Is this playing a role? Because sometimes you'll be in a trotro, especially for Kojo, you'll be in a trotro and you can see it's getting foggy. The driver is trying to use some wiper or something to duster to clean the shield. Can you also tell us a bit about this? Is it like the kind of windshield that people are getting and the spare parts, are they playing a role in it? What are your thoughts on this as well?
Okay, so you see, when it comes to vehicle, let's go back to, let's say, the science.
Okay.
Let's say you are in a vehicle, right? You produce heat as an individual. It's raining, so outside is cold. So if the cold from outside and the heat from inside meet, it creates something like, how should I put, like moisture.
Okay.
So it blocks the screen, the windscreen, okay? That's why a lot of vehicles, if this modern vehicle, so every vehicle, if it's raining and you put on the heater or the air condition, it's able to like balance those things. So you normally have, let's say, a clear windshield when you are driving. The reason why the trotro drivers normally use the wipers and those stuff to clean the windscreen is because the heat inside the vehicle meets the outside temperature, which is cool. So unless our trotters decide to use, let's say, AC or heater that controls the windshield,
hold on, Kojo. Kojo, hold on. Can you repeat that part? Can you repeat that part?
Then I will revert to them full time also.
Yeah. So the heat from the vehicle, from the passengers and everybody, and even from the engine, and the outside temperature, which is cold when it's raining.
Okay.
They meet and it creates this fog kind of stuff or the moisture, and it blocks the windshield.
Okay.
So you have to sometimes clean from inside. You clean that heat thing from inside before you can have clear vision. Unless you use air conditioner or the heater, there's nothing you can really do about it. That's why those who drive air-conditioned cars don't have that experience.
So we are the living legends. Trotro, what do we do?
There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to clean because it will continue building up and you have to clean. Yeah.
Wow. Because the other side
there's a way, actually. I've seen a lot of stuff where maybe they put, you see this silicone gel, they put it in shoe and stuff. if you have more of it, it can do that. But these are people, we only focus on, we are emergency planners. So when the incident happens, that is where the idea comes to mind. But until that, we are just going, we are living legends, like you are saying. Yeah.
Inshallah and vibes, eh?
Yeah, you see that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to continue with Romain shortly, but I think we've received some messages from Facebook. We want to read some of the messages that people have shared with us on Facebook. So if we can have it on the screen. Okay, so we asked for people to give suggestions on how they think we can keep safe. And I think another part of the conversation that I would probably want to bring up is, what about the passengers, right? Pedestrians side, right? So, okay, there's a part where you are in the car, but there's also a part where you're on the street. We've seen billboards fall. We've seen cars skid and all that. I think that's something, too, that we probably would want to touch on. So, Mohammed Awal Dev says, minimize overtaking. And I think there's a very important one. He repeats also that don't overspeed. So I'm curious, Kojo, I'm sure probably you know a bit more about this. Is this something that is also playing a part? I think you've touched on it, but then is this something that you think is playing a serious part in there?
Yeah, the worst thing you can do when you race is to overtake. The worst thing, because I remember somewhere in 2017-18, with my former boss, we went to do this fuel station price display from Koforidua to Accra. I think around Tichamante, we were not even speeding. So my boss tried to overtake, but for a gutter in the middle of the road, like this dual carriage, this thing, that stopped us. We would have died.
Wow.
Because if you try to control the steering, like small distance, you skid off the road. So even if you are driving through paddles, you maintain a constant speed. You don't speed, you don't stop. You just maintain the speed. But if you try to overtake, the worst will happen. It doesn't matter the speed, because at that point, there is a thin layer between the road and the tire. That's very, very serious. So overtaking when it's raining is very dangerous. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had personal experiences. Yeah.
Okay. So you wanted to share something?
No, I mean, that's overtaking and overspeeding actually goes hand in hand most of the time. So I think that's the big factor, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Kwabnao Puni says his suggestion is for you to turn on your headlights to see and be seen, which is, I think, very important. Not just for you to see, but also to be seen by others. Okay, it can be difficult to see through wet side windows and side mirrors. Be aware of other vehicles to the rear and in blind spots. Okay, Obesibi Anita says, when it's raining, sometimes the road becomes slippery. That's when the driver applies brake. It becomes very scary. So I think there's what Kojo was mentioning earlier on, that there's less friction, and so it makes it difficult. Alejandro Aivo says, reduce your speed drastically because the rainwater on the road causes less friction between the tires and the road, and that can cause the vehicle to skid off the road. So I think Kojo and Romain have mentioned this earlier on. Scholar Michael says, in Ghana, get a safe... Living legends, Yani Enyo. So he says, in Ghana, get a safe place to park and wait for the rain to be over. If you are at Accra, wait more after the rain and listen to radio for news on flooded areas. Call friends to verify your route for possible flood. This, I think, is a very important conversation. And I think Kojo touched on it a bit, and then Roma, you're also talking about it. I think some years back, we had this incident. We've had it a couple of times, actually, where people actually try to drive through the rain, and next thing they know, the rain is carrying their cars away. Kojo, Romain, I don't know if you have any thoughts to share on that as well.
I think it's never a good idea to drive through water where you don't really have an idea how deep it is. Because if the water gets into your engine, then you have a different kind of problem.
Okay.
So maybe in that case, the advice to park wouldn't be a bad one, or you just turn around and go around the water, because you always find a higher ground, so you will always find a way around.
Okay. Kojo, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Like Romain said, water is very powerful. Like when it comes to rain and driving, water can carry everything. It's breaking walls, breaking everything. So it carrying your vehicle is very easy.
But
So
okay.
If it's raining, the best you can do is find a place, park. If you can, remove your battery terminals because water conducts electricity. So if water even enters your vehicle and the battery is still on, some components can get shorted.
Okay.
Can get shorted. So if it's raining and you know like you can't do a lot about it, park your car, remove your battery terminals, and you are good to go.
Okay, so this suggestion, right? Maybe those are for those of us with right now they call them the Uber and Yango cars, the small ones. Does it apply to people that are driving these powerful cars, the V8, or even our very powerful sprinters and all that? Does this also apply to them?
Yeah, it depends on the level of rain. If it's a 2 centimeter level, you are good. If it's above, let's say, 2 feet, 3 feet, and your vehicle, let's say, if you drive a Toyota, it doesn't have that snorkel above this thing where the exhaust can come out. Yeah, you have to park because it's an engine. Water can enter a lot of places, even from the exhaust.
Okay.
So if you don't have that snorkel, that is purposely designed to drive through rain, it's best to park because you can't tell. If your vehicle gets flooded, it's a bit expensive. Even if you are not sure, you have to check for oil, change oil, check on your transmission fluid and those kind of things. Components will enter because most of our vehicles that even come in our home use, they've been worked on. You risk water entering a lot of parts. So the best you can do, just take off your terminal. If there's no shell circuits, you can still work on it, clean it, and you are good.
Okay, so just to draw down on the battery terminal thing, just so people that are watching can understand, why do we need to do this?
Now, this is because water conducts electricity, and your vehicle is mostly made up of various components and their electronic stuff. So if you don't disconnect the battery, you risk the component shorting, like they say the control boards and other stuff. Those shorts, and if it shorts, it means some ICs in the system getting damaged. Not for all vehicles though, but you are not sure who used the vehicle before you got them. So the best thing, if you move the terminal, even if water enters the board, you can still work on it, clean it, and it will be back to normal. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So you wanted to say something, or we'll go back to the messages?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Asana Ayoba says, drive like a tortoise. Is that also safe, driving so slow? I mean, is there not like a point where if you are driving so slow, it also becomes a hazard?
So the best you can do is to drive very slowly. Like you can't speed. You can't speed when it's raining. So driving slowly and maintaining that speed is very important. Provided you know where you are driving at, because you can be driving and before you enter, you're in a Corvette or a gutter. So driving slowly is the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we need to. It's a very interesting topic. I think we probably might not be able to touch, especially on the pedestrians part, but we'll try to drive into it. Because just when you mentioned the Corvette and all that, it reminded me of an experience that I had around Hansonic. So, as usual, a young man, I've gone out to hang out a little bit and all that. It had rained. And this place is always flooded. I don't know what's there, it's always flooded. So, I ended up driving onto the median because it's like totally flooded. And so you don't see where you're going. Drove onto it, got stuck a little bit. I couldn't reverse, I couldn't go forward and all that. So I came out of the car, trying to assess the situation and all that. And the dangerous thing that happened was there was a gutter that I didn't know about that I literally went into it. This was full with water. The lucky thing was that it was, I think, up to shoulder level or something, so I could come out, but not like up to my head level, it would have been just a. So I think that's also another side that we probably will touch on. So Prince Kodia Bebio says, 1, reduce speed. 2, make sure all your lighting systems are in good order. 3, fix your wipers. And I think that's another very important part, because we see some wipers that are not working, or they are working, but then there's like, it's not doing anything.
And you can buy new ones on every traffic light.
True. We have them at every traffic point. Okay. 5, he says, when you can see 50 meters ahead, find a safer place and park. So I think this is a recommendation that keeps coming back, that you find a place and park. But then again also, with billboards falling, trees falling, is that also not a hazard when you park?
Those, like billboards and those things falling, they are like in the minority. That one, there's very little you can do about a billboard falling. So probably you don't have to park close. That's why you have to watch your environment very carefully. You can even be in your house, roofing sheet will fly and hit your vehicle. So those things, you just have to make sure where you are parking is free from all those things. Like trees. I think an incident happened recently on the Nakuman Road when it rained.
Okay.
Most of these trees fell, and I learned it fell on some vehicles as well. Oh. Yeah, so maybe they were probably parked and it fell. The trees fell on them. It's for some people's building as well. So those things too are there. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back to the messages. I think we also have some people waiting to join the Zoom link. So when we get a chance, we'll bring you on also to join in the conversation. So Kingsley Darko says, if it is raining heavily, you can't see how far. So you need to turn up your hazard light on and then the headlights on. Okay, so you need to turn your hazard and headlights on so that you can see to avoid any inconvenience. You also need to park your car down for the rain to come down before you go. So I think a lot of people are recommending that we park. So we have Kweku Dako that would also be joining us on Zoom. And then we have Kweku Anansi that would also be joining us in the studio. So we'll go for a quick video break. And then when we come back, we'll bring Kweku Anansi to join us. And then we'll bring Kweku Dako also on Zoom. Join us. Keep watching the Trotro Dice TV show on Joy Prime.
What does your morning commute cost you? If you're in Paris, you might fork out 75 euros a month for an all zones Navigo pass. If you want to go everywhere in London, the same will set you back about 445 euros. But say you're in Luxembourg or Tallinn, you're going to pay absolutely nothing, thanks to free, fair public transport.
It's effective for citizens registered in Tallinn. You can use for free Tallinn local buses, trolley buses, trams, and local trains within the city border.
It's to create awareness. It's to really push forward the discussion inside the population to really rethink their way, how they move around.
More than 50 cities and towns in Europe have introduced free public transport, citing climate ambition and social equality as primary motivators.
It works the same way when we go to a public park. Nobody is asking us to pay for every minute or every hour that we spend in a park. So why not consider public transport part of that system and part of that social agreement?
So how has it worked out in these two cases? In Luxembourg, the number of daily tram users is on the rise, but there doesn't seem to be fewer cars on the roads of this small country. Estonia shows similarly mixed results in its capital.
For 1 year, there was an increase in ridership. Most of this was not shift from cars to public transport. It was from walking to public transport. And what we actually saw in the Tallinn context was that the shift from public transport to cars went on. So in sustainable mobility terms, it actually...
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. That was a video about public transportation in Luxembourg, which is absolutely free, right? So they have the trains, they have the trams, they have the buses. They just come and park. You jump on. You don't pay anything. And as Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that one day, trotros in Ghana will be free. Say amen. Oh, you guys didn't say amen.
Amen, definitely.
Okay, so we've had Kweku Anansi, who has joined us in studio. You're welcome, Kweku Anansi. He's joined us previously. So Kweku Anansi has been a driver, driving with Bolt, Uber, and some of the ride-hailing apps, Yango as well. And I think we have Kweku Dakoda has also joined via Zoom. Kweku, are you also on with us? Hello, Kweku, are you with us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm here.
Okay, so you are welcome as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have been talking about driving in the rains, right? The rains have come, they've exposed the bad roads that we have, the challenges and all that. And we're looking at what precautions that we can take, right? And I think we've spoken a bit more to the driver's side, but we want you guys also to share from your perspective, and then also if you're able to touch a bit on the passenger side. So let me start with you, Kweku Dako, on Zoom.
Yeah, okay. All right. So as a driver, when it rains, we should look at our terrain, right? Because in Ghana here, our terrains are not good at all. So one key thing I will advise people is that, you see, you've been driving when the land is dry, and you know where the holes are. And I always tell my colleague drivers that, look, when you're driving and you see, let's say, a bridge, for instance, in Nungwa, there are a lot of bridges, right? You as the driver, if you can't see, like there's a water above the bridge, don't assume that you know the terrain, so you drive through that bridge. You don't even know whether it has collapsed in the middle. Because I have personally witnessed a driver do that, and the river, sent him away. We couldn't find him. You see, so the land is not good. That's one key thing. And when you don't have AC, then don't drive at all. When it's raining and you don't have AC, don't drive at all, because the humidity in the car, because you'll be forced to close the windows because you don't want water to come into the car. And you have to put on your AC to get a clear view. If you cannot, then it's better you just park off the app and don't work at all. These are the few things I've noticed with people. And people who think, oh, I'm an expert driver. You are not an expert flood bastard or whatever. You know how to drive, but water also know how to move. So I have people who died because they felt like they can drive through the rain. Sorry, they can drive through, a speed, like a flowing stream. Someone said, oh, me, I'm good, I can go. Please, don't trust your car too much. Don't trust yourself too much. If you feel you can't go, just tell a rider, look, I cannot come and pick you because the rain and where is this is dangerous. So I have noticed that from our time till now, a lot of drivers are now beginning to learn that thing because they've seen that people were losing their lives because of that. So what I've realized is that usually when it's raining, you have lesser drivers on the app. Most drivers wouldn't drive at all, which is a good thing, because when I tried to request a ride when it's raining, I noticed that no, there were few drivers and they were not even willing to come, which is on the good side for me. I think it tells you that no, everybody's taking precautions. So that's one thing. And me, I always emphasize on the fact that when you see a bridge, don't go by it when it has flooded. Never ever make that mistake. I've said it, I will say it again, or else you are doomed. That's the little I can add.
Okay, so Kweku, we'll come back to you, and then just before I come to Kweku Anansi as well. Kojo, if you are still with us, right, and I think Romain might probably also touch on it. We've heard something like winter ties and all that kind of stuff. We don't have winter, we have rainy season. So, Kojo, can you talk a bit about, okay, are there ties that are ideal for when it is raining and all that kind of stuff, what one needs to have and all that, just before we let you go?
Yeah, you see, we have... depending on, I haven't been to a snowy area, but what I know about winter ties and let's say summer ties or weather ties is that it depends on the grip.
Okay.
The grip level, how the wheels are able to grab on the road, like friction we are talking about. So that is one thing. I think, so if, let's say you are driving over here, I think the all-weather ties or the wet ties when it's raining is very important because the grip is very more. Yeah, it's very more. It has this, the tread is very deep and it's able to like grab the ground. If the tread is very thin or it's not enough, water carrying the wheels or the tires is very easy. But if the wheels are very deep, it then means that some of the water will pass within those threads on the ties, and then, in effect, the remaining ones that the water isn't passing and that will grab or hold onto the road. But like I said, water is so powerful. That is why they disperse a lot of water as much as possible so that you can have solid grip. Yeah.
Okay, but because you're going back to the threats of the ties and all that, Charlie, we know most of the people in Ghana, most of the drivers, back level, so Charlie, they are buying, like, do these second-hand ties and stuff that we buy have all of this? Or if maybe, say, a driver is going to buy a tie, what should they look out for and all that?
Oh, yeah. The thread is very important, and the quality of the tie. Because if you want to buy a tie and it's like Sakura, the threads are worn out, it even means that whether rain or shine, you still slip, you skid off the road. So the thread of the tie is very important because, let me be honest, not all of us have money to buy brand new ties.
Yeah.
And they are good second-hand ties which haven't been used that much. So you just have to watch out for the manufacturer. Maybe they have good track records when it comes to building good ties and your threads being okay. But if your threads, they have this coin test where, let's say, the 1 CD coin, and then you have to put it in the thread and have like some few centimeters or millimeters to be sure you have enough thread. So you can, every individual can check. I've forgotten about the centimeter, but there is this thing, you put a coin inside the thread and you have a certain measurement and it qualifies as a good tie. So that's what you have to look out for, the thread. So that's what holds it on the ground.
Okay. Okay. So as Kojo was saying, if you can see it on the screen, this is like a professional tool for measuring. But in Ghana, Living Legends, just grab your coin and then use it to check. And the most important thing is that you need these grips. If you don't have these grips, then it's going to be a hazard for you. So we're going to come back into studio to continue the conversation. Kojo, thank you so much for sharing with us. We'll reach out for more information. Maybe one of these days we'll invite you into the studio.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Charlie, thank you so much. Okay, so back into the studio, right? The different parts of the conversation. Romena, I'll come back to you because some of our viewers want to find out how public transportation was like before, because we watched the video. Now you have free public transportation.
Yes.
How was it before you guys had public
Before you needed a subscription. Either you could do an annual subscription, so you can use the bus as much as you want.
Okay.
And the train for that matter. Or you pay when you go from A to B. Okay. So you just pay your journey.
Okay.
And then that's cheaper. So if you don't take it often, you pay your journey. But if you take it every day, like going for work or something, you would probably have an annual subscription.
Okay. And what's the average fare back then? How, you have any idea?
I think one journey was about €1.50.
€1.50. Charlie, Living Legends, do the calculation. Because, so a euro is like 15 cedis
15
now.
cedis, yeah.
Wait, is this both ways or just one way?
That depends on how long you take. I think it was limited to 1 hour.
1 hour, okay.
Yeah, and then afterwards you have to redo unless you're still on your journey. So it was a bit more complicated.
Okay. So that means you could pay for, say, an hour, and within that hour, you could take the bus any number of times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, so we come back into studio. Kweku, you just joined us. We're talking about driving during the rainy season, precautions that we can take, things that people should be aware of. What do you want to add?
Okay, all right. So thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
So yeah, I think Kweku and then my fellow Kweku and then the other guy. Yeah. So the coin thing, ideally, let me just take it from there. The coin thing, you know, there's a grid around the coin. Like if you take the one that has that golden middle thing. So the idea for that trick is to, if you dip the coin, the silver edge should vanish. So you begin to see only the gold from where the grid thing is. Yeah. So talking about the ties, for example, especially, you see, like we said, when we are driving and it's dry, we feel we are experts. But when the rain comes, just as it will expose the roads and all that, it exposes a lot of drivers. I think someone said you should turn on your hazard and all.
Yes.
I wouldn't advise that.
Why?
You can turn on the parking, not the hazards. Because I've witnessed someone drive into another person because the hazards are on, he's turning left, the other guy is going straight.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's raining. So you see a lot of people, and it's especially our cyclists, our motor guys do that. You always find them with a hazard light on.
Yes.
That is not the use. The hazard is to tell whoever is behind you that you are in trouble.
Yeah.
Either you need help or you need space.
Okay.
Not to use it on a regular day. So
Because
when
you're
it's
in a
raining,
hurry.
yeah, exactly. Or when you're in a hurry, an ambulance or something, at a convoy or something, you know. So when it is raining, that is not the time to use the hazard.
Okay.
You can turn on the parking, but not the hazard. Because if you have the hazard on and you are turning into an intersection, you might cause an accident.
True.
You get it. So yeah, that's it. And the tires, yeah, I would say that yes, we don't have the money to buy the brand new tires and all that. But the mistake people make is we use wrong tires, both front and back. And then when it rains, we skid. You know why? The manufacturers of the tires, they give you a radius,
Okay.
a diameter, and a height. So my car, for example, I'm using rim 16.
Okay.
Okay, so I need to buy R16, 65, 95.
Okay.
What happens is sometimes when we lose the ties, like it's being shown on the screen, you go and then these guys would just tell you that, oh, boss, for 75, share befa. What we don't realize is it makes it not balanced.
Okay.
So it's either you're going to fix the same R15 or 16, 65, 80, both in front, and fix maybe R15, 65, 70, both at the back.
Okay.
But what you realize is you might have 75 to the left, 80 to the right, 65 to the back, like the rail side.
Yeah.
It makes the car imbalanced. So when it's raining and the friction has gone down, your probability of skidding off is high.
So that means that even before the rains come,
Yeah.
it's already a hazard.
It's already a hazard. It's just waiting for the right condition, which would be that there's enough rain on the surface and probably the front tire is touching the tire, but the back is not.
Oh.
Because there's that rainwater in between, like, the road and then the tire. Yeah, that kind of thing. And people don't pay attention to this, that kind of thing. So for us we've been driving for a long time, sometimes you are lucky. You've gone through the experience, you didn't get hurt, but you need to advise a lot of the drivers to pay attention to that. If you go and the guy tells you he doesn't have your size of tire, the best would be to change either the front pair or the rear pair to the same sizes.
Okay.
Then you are safe. Don't fix 65 and he tells you that, oh, a chain here is 60 shy. What they do is they maintain the radius, which is the R15, but then the other numbers behind it are different.
Yeah,
and then they just tell you, oh, you might get hurt. So that's one of the things. So yeah, so when it rains, like Kweku said, you can't see the bridge. You don't know whoever went over it. It might be a tipper truck who managed to go over it, leave the cracks behind him. If you try, you're gone. And then the idea of, oh, I know my road. That thing, it kills a lot of us. You know why? You know the road. Probably you were at work. It has rained for 2 hours. Erosion.
Okay.
It's probably taking part of the road away that you are not aware of. So it is your usual road. You take it to work. You take it to home.
I'm a cheap driver. I trust my car.
I trust my car. No. What you should ask yourself is whether you can really see the tire in front of you. If it's there. If it's there, fine. But if you can't, don't assume that it is still there. Probably it's been washed off. And you might just drive into, like where you are describing, yes, I've had a similar experience there before.
This Hansonic.
The Hansonic there, that stretch. You see, when you get past it and then you want to go to Kokompe, there's a drain there. So I was using my Kia morning, I go to my auntie around that end. It's rained, I stayed, let the rain go down, you go. I still get there, the rain is like, It's gone down. But
Okay.
So I saw the trotro guys going. But apparently they were there before me. So they've managed to put some ties at positions that they are using.
Okay.
But my car is smaller.
So
So I
that
only
would
get
be-
one lucky tie to use where they've packed the ties. But my other side,
Oh, that'll
I
be
drive
a
into it.
danger.
You get it. So sometimes these are the things.
Okay.
Even if you know the road, at least try as much as possible to ensure that you see
Okay.
before you
go. Okay. So we have about 2 or 3 minutes to go. Romain, how is the experience, the rest of it for you? You have some final words to share with us just before we go off. And then we'll take a quick one from Kweku and then Kweku as well, and then we can wrap up.
No, I side with all of that. You should never drive a road where you don't see what's in front of you, because it's just really a big danger in the making. And you can, I mean, we shouldn't play with our lives in these matters. There are more important things than maybe being on time.
Okay. So is there any final thing you want to share with our audience, some tree or fancy that?
Oh, no. I'm going to leave that for later for the after show part. But no, it was a pleasure being here. And as you mentioned before, we've been speaking about this for a long time. So now it finally happened. And thank you. And keep it up.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's more interesting things to come.
Definitely. Kweku, any final quick ones that you want to share?
Yeah, so our advice, all drivers, we should pay attention to our vehicles when it is not raining. We shouldn't wait for the rains before we are buying a wiper or all that stuff. So in as much as we will take care of our body before we fall sick, we should just do the same for our cars, because it can kill us.
So actually, there was a question I wanted to ask earlier. We can do a quick one on this. How long must one keep the tires? Because, Charlie, we are driving till the tire you are going on and the tire will go come out. How long is there like a prescription on, okay, maybe this number of months or something?
Actually, the tires have expiry dates on them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. A simple Google search would, we don't have the time, so a simple Google search can tell you where to find the expiry on the tire that you're buying.
Okay.
So if you find out that it's expired, please don't. Because it's rubber. It's basically rubber, but just modified in a way that it can contain the pressurized air and all that.
But people say, people say some of these expiries and beds is just a suggestion.
No, why would someone suggest, like, what would they gain from that? It expires. We should admit it. We shouldn't play with it like, Ghanaians, no, it's expired. Just for your own safety, if you check and you realize the tire you're about to buy has an expiry date and it is closed or it is expired, please don't. Like, there are other alternatives, so get the alternative,
We have legal limits, so if our tires are too worn down, we are legally obliged to change them. Because if the police catches you and your tire is too worn down, they're going to fine you.
Wow.
So they have that, but we don't. So if we don't, it is bound on you, the user, to take care of yourself. Yeah, so don't you...
Especially if you're transporting people also, I think that's also part of it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another show, episode of the Trotrodized TV show on Joy Prime. It's been a very interesting conversation. Today we're talking about rainy season, the precautions that we should take. I'm sure you've gotten a couple of things. Check your tie, make sure you're using your AC or park if you need to. We've started this conversation, we'll carry it on into next week. Thank you guys for joining us so much. We had people joining us from Luxembourg. So greetings to everybody that joined us on Luxembourg. Comment in the comment section. Let us know you joined us from Luxembourg. All the viewers that joined in from Ghana. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful weekend. Next week, Saturday, we'll be right back on Trotrodized TV show. For now, my name has been Yao Odum. Thank you to all my panelists. Kweku, Romain, Kweku, and then Kojo. So we'll come your way next week. Thank you and enjoy your weekend.